And like anything else, they wouldn't sign up to the VADA testing either. That bothered me a little bit because I wanted that in the contract, but it wouldn't do that. But I'm not even bothered about that because what they're going to do, they're going to do anyway.
Most of the athletes were on something. You'd have to be a real rebel to not be on juice.
At a very high level, there are individuals doing this. Athletes at a high level in the UFC, as well as in professional sports in general.
Yeah, I think this individual's doing it too.
Jake Paul's corner, they're going to be on all sorts of substances. I think that honestly, I was holding back. I didn't want to say it. I don't think they test. Maybe the week of the fight, there's no USADA. And I think that's a major factor. When I tell you he's bigger and stronger and he's more athletic, I think it's basically he's going to be on PEDs. Okay, I hate to say it, but I definitely think Jake Paul is going to be on PEDs. It exists in the world of boxing just like it exists in MMA. And I don't think Tyron will be on PEDs. I think Tyron will be totally natural. Does it make a difference? It absolutely does.
Those little bumps you had on your face kind of alarmed me. You wouldn't be happening to taking PEDs, are you?
Listen, if you want to build in excuses right now,
no, I'm just asking.
Go ahead.
Because I was just wondering. I looked at your face, it looked kind of serious. You had some rage and you're acting all unorthodox. Those are signs of the PEDs.
I'm enraged. I'm not enraged at all.
Are you taking PEDs?
No, sir.
Not at all? Okay.
No, sir. Aren't we getting drug tested or are we not?
People have accused you of that in the past.
Yeah, I think they're building in excuses. I love it. I look at it as a compliment.
I beat a lot of people on steroids. So I take it as flattering that you feel like you got to take an extra supplement to raise your level to where I'm at.
You could say, oh, the guy's young, there's a growth spurt, that's a possibility as well. But generally, you won't get huge. And you know about getting big, right? When you're trying to get big, you're doing the most anabolic workout. You don't want to go anywhere near the catabolic workouts. Now, look, his first training camp was in Big Bear. Okay, he's training with Shane Mosley. Are you familiar with Shane Mosley? Okay, Shane Mosley is notorious in boxing for getting caught. Once upon a time, there's a huge fiasco. He got caught for steroids and EPO. And he was working with Victor Conte.
Yeah, Victor Conte.
He tried to say that he didn't know Victor Conte was giving him steroids. He was giving him EPO. And then after that, he recanted that in court, saying, I admit it, I knew what it was, etc. It was a major, major scandal. He beat De La Hoya. You know, De La Hoya was one of the top fighters to ever box. And Mosley beat him, and it was a very, very close fight. He won a split decision. Turned out he busted for PEDs. And that was also a guy working with Jake Paul. So for me, like, I know he's working with that guy. He's training in Big Bear. He went from that fight, his first amateur fight, looking very average and normal, to his first pro fight, looking much bigger, stronger, explosive, knocking a guy down who's much, much better than the first guy he fought. We're talking about a year turnaround here. And he's bigger in size, more explosive, just like a whole different caliber of muscle quality. And that tells me, look, you know, I know what goes on in Big Bear. Like, I'm not crazy. Like, I've been in the fight game for a long time. You don't go train at altitude to get huge. When you train at altitude, you actually get smaller. Why? Because it's much harder on the cardiovascular system. Your heart has to work faster. So if you run a mile, it's like you run 1.5 miles. Like, it's much more catabolic than anything else. So you lose weight. It's a great place to lose weight, lose size. There's a lot of drugs in all sports, but definitely there's a lot of drugs in combat sports. Now, am I saying I know the guy did it? No, I'm not saying that at all. But I'm just saying, in my opinion, to go from A to B in that short period of time, it's very difficult.
Do you think he respects you as a fighter?
I don't think he does. I think he has underestimated me and my ability. But I think deep down, you know, I see him breathing right now. I see it through his shirt. His heart rate is sky high right now. I think deep down he knows what's coming, but he doesn't want to face that. And he's trying to convince himself, oh, this kid's not that good, this kid's not that good. But he knows, deep down, his coaches know. GT knows. He knows what I'm made of, and I think he knows what's coming. 2 days from now, I see it. You're afraid. Your back's up against the wall. You're like a dog in a cage, scared, lashing out like you did yesterday. Emotion. You're trying to pull it together, but you've never been on this big of a stage at all. The pressure's cracking you. So I think, to answer your question, he doesn't respect me. But I think deep down, he knows that he has to respect me. That's where the confusion comes from. You're gonna see that on Sunday when he gets hit with that first jab. He's gonna break him.
I couldn't even interrupt. He practiced that fucking monologue all morning. He had it down to a T. He had the emotions in there. He had his little segues. So I wanted to let him get that off. He's using his acting chops.
You fought at Madison Square Garden.
I let that happen because it was just such a dope ass. I gotta give you a props. That was a dope ass monologue. I mean, if I was watching a movie and, you know, somebody was doing that shit, and I'm like, damn, it's kind of creepy. Oh, he's a bad guy. Oh, he's a heel.
Not only did they not agree to the VADA testing, Jake Paul presumably having zero testing, something that he has been highly criticized of in the previous fight. It was widely considered by many individuals that Jake Paul was using shit, including Faraz. Had a pretty bold statement where he was asserting that Jake Paul was on PED and Tyron Woodley was not. And obviously it's a lot more lenient to do whatever the fuck you want when there's literally no testing. And I can understand his conclusion on that given the fast, accelerated rate of skill acquisition and performance metric increases.
Didn't John Jones block you?
I've made a few videos just dissecting his case and giving my opinion on what I think he did. He just doesn't like it, obviously, because it's just bringing up shit that is in his past that he doesn't want dug up, I guess.
This is the stuff about the drug testing.
Yeah, he tested positive for Turinabol. The only way you're going to get it is like underground. It's not a pharmaceutical product that's designed for like a clinical application. So you're going to get it designed by an underground lab who sells steroids to random bodybuilders or a chemist. On paper, when you look at his testosterone levels when he fought DC, they were so out of whack that it would not be explainable, in my opinion, by anything other than some sort of suppression of your system via the usage of something.
Not hard training, because hard training does suppress it, right?
Yeah, but to the degree where he's literally like a female, probably not.
Really? It was that bad?
Yeah, so normally the levels would be over 10 times what he had in general. He was like in the single digits for urinary testosterone, which otherwise should be like, it was like 60 plus or something. He was like 4 or something. And it was multiple data points of his testosterone being single digits to a point that would indicate significant suppression, in my opinion.
What could be another possible explanation other than significant suppression?
Of the super low test levels? I don't know, castration.
Really? Is that bad?
Yeah, it was pretty fucking bad, dude. It was like the equivalent of you only have your adrenal glands producing testosterone, basically. Like your balls are essentially non-functional.
When they catch someone with something like Victor Conte had come clean with that they use for all these different athletes, undetectable, you rub it on your skin, and no one knew what it was. We think, oh, they caught that guy, they're more sophisticated now, you can't get away with that now. Do you think it's possible there could be some new designer steroids or some new compound that's not on the list of things to be tested for because we don't even know it exists, but yet it is significantly enhancing performance?
You can't prove anything exists in the body if you don't have an assay to detect it. They look for high tests, they don't look for low. So if you're really low randomly, they might be like, huh, that's weird, and keep an eye on it and maybe test you further for other stuff. But it doesn't mean you couldn't be using something gung-ho the entire time.
If you haven't seen Icarus first, Brian Fogel, who is an athlete and he does bike races, he decided as a cyclist it would be interesting if he did a race natural and then did the same race the next year, juice to the tits. And so he did the race natural, documented it all, and then hired this guy, Gregory Rodchenkov. And Gregory was the head of the Russian anti-doping agency, which is not real.
Yeah.
The Russian anti-doping agency is the Russian we dope everybody agency.
Yeah.
And so Gregory talked Brian through the protocol, told him what to take, how to take it. I don't know if he supplied him with it. I don't really remember that. But along the way, the Russians get busted in the Sochi Olympics. Gregory has to flee the country and then rats out the entire Russian Olympic team. And now he's got a hit out on him. He's hiding in America and still is. He's under witness protection. He's got 24-hour armed guards around him all the time. And someone from Russia apparently is looking to kill him.